Alright guys, so we're going to do what I should have done a year ago. I have no idea how much fuel is in this already, but if the gauge is correct, I thought I saw the gauge move the other night when I got it running. It's about empty. So we're going to put 1 ounce of Swivel in here. It's 1 ounce of Swivel for every 2 gallons of fuel, or 2.5 gallons of fuel. Again, I don't know how much is in here, but I've got about 5 extra gallons in the shed of non-ethanol 87 for my lawn equipment. So we're just going to throw like 1.5 gallons, whatever's in here, in the car. So do this neat thing. That's 1/2 ounce. It's another 1/2 ounce. And this is pretty full. I'm not going to put the whole thing in here. This car is in no way ready for the road anytime soon. But just starting it up and moving it around. Need some kind of fuel. I had this car now 1 year and 1 month, and I'm now just doing this. That's good. Probably about 1.5 gallons or so. And so the primary problem we had was, you see how the choke plate was straight up and down? You see this little peg? That's where it's supposed to be at the moment, but this little peg was actually under this red piece, and it was over, the linkage was overdrawn on itself to allow this to be straight up and down. So they had absolutely no choke whatsoever. It was just locked in wide open. So on that chilly night, this thing did not want to run. So the other problem I had that I noticed was on the accelerator pump, on the squirter for the left bank, I was only getting maybe like half a stream, and the right side was barely a trickle. So I had to draw the screws out, drive them back in. That's when I realized I had a problem with the accelerator pump. So I had to mess around with that. So you can see on this one, if I wrap the throttle, you see how it's getting pushed off and over, because our accelerator pump, I will press down on this with my screwdriver very slowly. Putting a decent amount of pressure on it, and I'm letting off. See, now it's coming back. The other night it was not moving at all, but I'll go ahead and show you a good one, and you'll see how effortless it should be. Alright, so you can see on our accelerator pump, you go wide open throttle. See how effortless that is on the part of the carburetor. So that's what it should do. So you can see on the choke plate for this one, it's set up just like the other, as it should be. Alright guys, so that does it for the Galaxie today. I didn't bother getting it running. I'm sure it would fire right off. There's fuel in the bowl, everything's working as it should, somewhat at the moment, but I'm not going to mess with that today. There will definitely be future videos on this, only limited by my finances at the moment. So, alright guys, so today we are going to take the standard 5-inch casters off of this little Harbor Freight roll around I bought a couple of years ago, and we're going to install these. It's going to help me move this thing around outside on the grass and or dirt leading up to the slab. Alright guys, as you can see, the bolt holes are not where you want them to be. As always, that should be no surprise to any of us. I'll have to drill new holes in the cart, no big deal. These are a little more heavy duty. These are also from Harbor Freight. So I'm going to build a larger plate to sandwich between this and the bottom of the cart. All right, guys, I've got some scrap sheet metal. It's probably about the same thickness the cart is. I'm gonna do 6-inch squares, and then I'll drill the holes accordingly to just kind of add a sandwich plate right in here. Okay, so I have the plate mocked up on the other side. I colored that in. I'm going to reuse this hole, which would put this about even at this corner here. And of course it'll be mimicked on that side. And I'll have to do something a little different on the bottom. Yeah, you can see these do line up. These are the right spacing and everything. Just one, from this orientation, one has to go horizontal, the other has to go vertical. Alright guys, you can see I've got this plate mocked up where it needs to be. You can see we're a little close to the existing hole. I'll just put a washer. I'll use some larger washers on these. Just gotta make my marks and start drilling. And then of course we'll do the same thing to the other side. Alright guys, that's the swivel casters done. Again, I'll probably take this all apart and clean it up a little bit. Next we got to do the stationary ones. There's a shoulder on this bolt. Yeah, there's a shoulder. That's kind of nice. I mean, that's exactly where it needs to be. Let's just tighten the slop out of this. not too bad. So these carts are not known for being very heavy duty. Again, this is something I had bought and used for multiple purposes, but you can kind of see, if you can see the floor of it. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You can just put a piece of, you can take this all apart and just get a thin piece of plywood and put that underneath this, and then bolt everything back up with longer bolts, and that's just the simplest way to rectify that. But I mean, again, if you're putting heavy stuff on this, and it's actually more weight on this will actually help keep it somewhat stable. Because right now with no weight on it, it's kind of warbly. But let's see what it does off-road. So that's exactly what I needed it to do. And I kind of lucked out. I put the, not that it really matters, I put the valve stems facing outboard on the rear wheels. So yeah, I did that on purpose, first try and everything. I was totally paying attention. Well, I figured that would happen. It is awful close to being able to fit back under that workbench when I'm not using it. But so what I'm gonna do, I probably won't, you can see right away, I'll just drop it down a hole and drill a new hole. The problem is it's got that little indentation. Again, not that big of a deal. I'll probably only drop it down a ½ inch or so, or right where that little indentation starts, and just drill new holes. Again, this thing is going to be with me outside the whole day I'm using it. I'm not going to make it a point to empty the cart off to get it to scooch back under there at the end of every work day or whatever. It will already fit under here. I can move that back into the storage shed, but I'm not planning on going in and out through that door all the time. But it will fit up here if I need to, if I'm storing an engine or something underneath here. The plan is really to go out that door with it. So in case you guys are planning on doing this, the one of you, it's about 35. Roughly, just give yourself 35 3/4, roughly. So that's a Harbor Freight cart, Harbor Freight casters. I made work. So, like I said, I'll do the extra step and modify this to where it fits. My friend is back.